So I will introduce another speaker. Lukasz is working in the same company as I, as a security expert. So he's not a tester, but he can give us very interesting insights in security, and that's his topic for his talk.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for a quick introduction, Vojto. Although I'm not tester at Vendavo, I used to work as a penetration tester before, so I think I have something to share. In Vendavo, I work as a cloud security engineer, so we are basically here to support Vendavo engineering. And let's start like what our internal security team work does for Vendavo. So it's not only supporting engineering, but there's also incident response management, cloud and container security, infrastructure security, compliance, and many different other areas. But today I'll only focus on application security and mostly security testing. So what do we offer engineering? So those are some product and feature reviews. I'm part of architecture board where I try to point important fields that are worth paying attention to prior to development. And of course, there's a lot of testing. There's dynamic application testing and static application testing. These are usually automated, but it's not enough. So you have to run manual penetration tests, or you have to, it's advisable. And these in Vendavo are run by external companies. But having experience in the penetration testing myself, we can provide really good remediation guidance. And also we can help with setting appropriate severity in the context of Vendavo and helping with retests. But today, as my time is very limited, I'd like to solely focus on the testing itself and on the manual testing. Because these two, dynamic application security testing and static, those are basically scanners. You point it to a website or to a code, and they run tests, and some results are then revealed in the report. Then you can take it to your security team. You can discuss with them whether it's worth remediating or not, but that's it. But the main fun are the manual penetration tests, because basically the scanners only try to do as good job as the manual pen tests, but the main core are the pen tests. So when it comes to manual penetration testing, so these are basically simulated cyber attacks on your web application, and it's worth noting that it's only simulation. An attacker can have a lot of time, like months, to monitor and to attack your application. And we don't have that much money to offer our penetration testers. So we try to make the environment as close to possible to real scenarios, but at the same time, to make the testing more comfortable for them. So this means that, for example, an attacker can closely monitor the application and guess some weak fields. But for us, it's easier to show the penetration tester whole application, show them all, for example, user inputs. So this way they can solely focus on these weak points, and it's way more time effective, and this way cheaper. So penetration testing, when you say it all around the world, the first thing that comes on the penetration tester's mind is Burp Suite tool. It works as a simple proxy that sits between your browser and the web server. Being it locally run on your computer, you can change the certificates there the way that Burp Suite can inspect and interact with HTTPS encrypted traffic, which is very useful. And it's mostly used for manual penetration testing. But in the background, there are all the scanners running. Sorry, So it helps the penetration testers to like point them into the weak or suspicious points in the application. It can be quite easily extended. There's some like, let's say, like App Store for extensions. So you can easily like download extensions and have them run in the background. So this helps as well. And I'd like to encourage all of you after this small presentation to download the community edition. It's free. All the features I'm going to use today are available there. And for example, tryhackme.com if you want to see yourself how you can do. So this was about Burp Suite. And now, to be honest, I'd like to do a small live demo because this will be fun, not me speaking here, right? So let me move on to my machine. So for the demo, I choose some Google sample project where anybody can try their hacking skills. The goal is to exploit cross-site scripting vulnerability, which is like in simple words, you have an input field, for example, an application asks for your name. But what if you don't put their name, but some JavaScript code? Does it get run in the context of application or not? So that's about it. Running a JavaScript, some malicious JavaScript in a web application can cause, for example, having admin session stolen, or these very nasty scenarios. So yes, it's worth mitigating these. Anyway, so here is our application that we would like to test. And here I have the Burp Suite. When you open Burp Suite, you are welcome with this dashboard, but you want to basically go directly to proxy. And this is where the magic happens. You can see that if I go into this tab, it lets me open a browser, which I have already opened on the right side. You can simply put there the application you would like to test, which in our scenario is this one, xss game.appspot.com. And you can see that if I visit it again, here's a request coming from my web browser to the web application server. And you can see that here's the full request. And I can just simply forward and receive a response back. So by this, I can like click around the application, like slightly play with it. And in HTTP history, I can see all the requests and all the responses. So for example, so as the goal here is to like exploit cross-site scripting vulnerability, and there is only one input field, I would focus on it, right? So this way, let me just put there some random string. And if I inspect the requests and response here, I can see that it's just placed here. So I may try to put there some, so as I spotted some like weak spot properly, I can send the request to repeater, which is very similar to Postman, which some people may know, I think. So here I can like play with the request and see the responses. So if I go with send, I can immediately see the response here. So why don't we try to put there some beer characters? Okay, you see that because I'm putting these characters into URL, it does not work well. So I need to URL encode. But Burp Suite has tools for these, so I'll just go with URL, encode all. And now we can see that the web server responded with response, and that these characters are placed here. So let's just move forward. convert them. Okay, I'll just delete that. It will be easier, right? So all we have to do now is to solely focus on this response. And remember, our goal is to inject some JavaScript there. So in HTML, I can, in this very easy example, put there the script tags, or for example, image script tag and use on-error handler and put JavaScript there. As this is a very easy example, it would work straight away. So let me just put it there. And let's see how, okay. Okay, so now I believe it should work. Let me just encode it into URL. I lost it. Okay, there you go. And if I click send, we can see that it's highly likely this would work. So all what I can do now is to simply copy this. You know what? I'll just copy the whole request, move to proxy, turn the intercept on, and then I can just type here some random string, have this request intercepted, and I can place it here, right? Sorry. Do it this way. Okay, and now if I forward the edited request to the web server, okay, something went wrong. Okay, let me try again, sorry. Sorry for this. Okay, let's see. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I know it works here, so okay, you can see that it's really vulnerable to cross-site scripting. But anyway, the main point was to like show around the burp suite. So you basically have the proxy here, which is very powerful tool. And then you have this repeater where you can send the requests and start playing with the web server. The main goal is to like really interact with the web server itself and not to be limited by the UI. So this is the burp suite. You can see that it was actually easy to work with it, and there are plenty manuals that can be found online to try to play with it yourself. And if I should sum up this small talk about application security, so how does it work in Vendavo? So the question is, how lean or big is your internal security team? In some large companies, such as, for example, Seznam or Avast, I know that they have the penetration testers themselves in-house. So they do not outsource it from external companies. But this can be really expensive because you have to pay the person. But at the same time, you probably want to have different penetration testers test your web application for different years, right? Because people are usually focused in one area. So it's a good idea to switch people or even companies. So that's the reason why, in my opinion, it's worth having the penetration tests themselves be outsourced by a different company that you can easily switch. So this is exactly the situation in Vendavo, that we as internal security team help with design and architecture. We try to do DevOps in some teams, hopefully will be shifted to DevSecOps. So we are involved in the architecture phase. And we plan penetration testers together with engineering and quality assurance. We have to prepare the environments, we have to decide on suitable time slots, and define scopes and objectives. And after the penetration test, security team prioritize the remediation efforts and consider whether the reported vulnerabilities could be really exploited in the context of Vendavo. And then we have the external penetration pen testers that bring the expertise and bring their insights into the penetration testing, and we ask them and pay them to receive the results. So this was all from my side, and I'd like to ask you for any question, and hopefully I can provide answers. Okay.
Which distribution you use for manual penetration test? CAN or something?
Which distribution?
Yes, distribution or operation system.
Okay. Yes. I used to work for multiple companies. In one, we had specialized laptops that were running Kali on the host themselves. Usually, companies allow you only run it in virtual machine, so it's slightly harder. I know that some colleagues also use like their own laptops with Kali because company didn't provide them with the availability to put Kali on the host itself. But for like in my position where I usually do the retests myself, like having the Burp Suite running on macOS is enough because I have the almost Unix-like experience. Also the VSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux, quite like it's not ideal, but it can be used for some simple tasks. Okay, another?
Yeah, do you do some engineering, when you are working with the engineering teams, do you do some workshops or some knowledge sharing or something, or do the teams in the Vendavo have security experts, let's say, or security-oriented people in the teams inside, or you are just providing that support from the specialized security team?
Okay, this is a great question because we as a security team cannot be responsible for the security only like ourselves. It has to be like shared responsibility. To be very specific, in our security team there are only 4 people. So that's not enough to secure whole company. And this is the reason why we run security chapters where we do the knowledge sharing. We also do like weekly newsletter. So we remind our colleagues like, hey, security is here, it's worth paying attention. Yes, and the security chapter, we do the knowledge sharing, we try to foster the community there. And this was a great question. Basically, security comes down to your point. It has to be shared among our others. Okay?
Do you need any background check or security clearance? Risk on its own when it's outsourced and you find some major issue in the security of the program?
Yes. Okay. So, as with every supplier, we have signed NDAs, so they cannot disclose, obviously. If you ask about myself, in the previous company, I had to underwent a very, very strict security check. They had even somebody to like check my bell ring if there is my name and the address I provided. I really do live there. So I underwent it. Not in Vendavo, like this strict, but there are some background checks done by human resources department for us. Okay.
Do you have some public bounty program for security bugs in Vendavo?
I think we utilize HackerOne for this, but we stopped that because And actually we stopped that and decided to go with this Czech company called DCIT. That is, for me, it's a leader in the Czech market, and we receive better results from them. The HackerOne, there's slightly a problem that you basically don't want to expose your environment directly to the internet and say like, yes, everyone, let's hack us. So there's like a really fine line between how to make it useful and get useful results, but at the same time not to endanger the company itself. So this is easier when you contract like somebody directly because you can sign NDAs with them. You know it's a like real company, it's not like somebody abroad. You can never basically reach out in legal means. So this is why we switched to outsourcing from specific companies. Okay, any other questions? Happy to answer.
Okay, so thank you, Luka.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.